So the build he's going for in the next game, I wouldn't be surprised if I see him go for the same 3-pointer build. Yeah. So he's going for the same 3-pointer build. 3 into Vortex, CDR. It's a very strong build, and the best way to deal with the 3-pointer build is to just try and punish him stage 1 as hard as you can, because once he hits that stage 2 and stage 3, it's pretty much over for you unless you punished him hard enough. So I'd like to see a Cabot. That's how you best deal with something like this. You pick a Cabot. I'd like to see as well a better assault pick than Hyde, because if they're going for proper pick phase here, it means that they knew it was Kraken, which means the Hyde pick really just screams something is wrong there with the decision making to go for that Hyde. So should be interesting to see what they do actually coming into the next game after having such a close game there. So picks come out here. He's gone for the 3-pointer with CDR. What do they actually go for here? I can't remember. Okay, so they actually go for the same comp. They still go for that Hyde. And they've gone for Hank again. See, I think this is a big mistake from them. They know in ESL rule sets they'll always be able to choose the assault after the monster. So with that knowledge, they should be trying to do that, and that means that they're either blind picking, which doesn't help them practice at all, or they are picking Hyde into Kraken, which at the moment is just, it's not a great idea because his minigun just isn't effective enough, and the flamethrower damage just isn't very good. So he gets a pretty good spawn here. 2 Mammoth Birds, a spotter, so that's 7 meat. It's 15 meat to hit that first evolve. Gets another Mammoth Bird here actually as well, so that is going to be 10. So he's already 2/3 to his evolve, and that's what makes the difference between a good and mad monster in the early game, is how fast you can hit that evolve. 13 meat, he got a 4th Mammoth Bird. And so he just needs the 2 meat at this point. And at this point, he's really looking for that Blitz Leopard pack and tries too hard waiting for the spawn. At this point, everything has spawned, so he shouldn't be looking around for it that much. But he sees those Mammoth Birds there, grabs 2 extra meat, doesn't take the 3rd meat smartly, doesn't waste his time eating it, no need to. And at this point, he's trying to just sneak around. Manages to engage onto the support there. Gets poked off. Support really high in the air from that small bug. At this point, the Trapper comes in. Trapper takes a lot of damage there, actually, which is why he feels like he can stay in that one. But as soon as that shield comes out, he starts to move out. And this is a bit of a panic here, a panic move from Shenanigans. So here the Trapper's taken some damage from some wildlife. Probably the Armadon just in the area next to him. And so he's at 3/4 health coming into this. And then the Vortex comes through, which takes him down to 1/3 of his health. And then some of the extra hits come through. And if he'd have been out of shield for a few more seconds, another Vortex could have hit and taken him down. Shen would have committed really hard, landed on the ground and just hit him. But shield comes through in time, saves him. And at this point, as soon as the shield comes through, Shenanigans realizes that Dome's going to come down in a second. Got to get this dodge off. Even though I can fight this, I could maybe fight it, but I'm a 3-pointer build. I don't want to be fighting stage 1. So I need to get out of this dome, need to dome dodge, need to go and evolve. And so he hits the floor here, hits that traversal, and actually, because he actually gets an unfortunate, like, fail here, and so he has to traversal, like, second time, and the dome hits him so closely that if he hadn't hit that small bug, he would have got out of that dome. But it's now good to see what he's going to do in this dome. He should be looking to mitigate damage as much as he can here. And so Harpoon's starting to come through from the side here. This dome doesn't loop, so it is pretty good dome. It's a pretty good dome for the Hunter team. He's going to sit back here, going to try and avoid the assault as much as he can. Assault comes through. Vortex isn't back into that corner. That's actually a pretty smart decision there. So he comes in, and Vortex is the hide into the corner. He's playing against a hide. It's a hide. Like, damage, area damage is what hide is for. Sitting in that corner, if he'd have stayed in that corner and tried to Vortex him out, that means he Vortexes him away. But if Hide drops the poison nade in time, that means he's wasted the Vortex, because he then has to fly over Hide and take damage anyway, which means Hyde's done what he wanted to do. So he Vortexes him back into the corner there and avoids any chance of that. Flies over the Hunter team here, gets a pretty good amount of damage from the Hunter team. And so at the moment he's just trying to avoid damage. Napalm grenades are coming through pretty decent. It's what I'd like to see from Kairas coming out in a stage 1 dome. Especially against a 3-pointer build. You switch to that damage, you're not going to be needed for healing very much. Your healing burst should be completely adequate for that. It takes a bit too much damage there from the Hank, but the Hunter team are going over the top, which allows him to just go straight under. Vortexes through that archway, pushes 2 more people away. Pretty decent there by Shenanigans. Vortexes again, and now the dome's down. And so he actually doesn't lose anything from that first dome. So Shenanigans does a great job of damage mitigation there. And it's why it's really rough for a lot of people against this 3-pointer build. Unless you have something like Cabot to hopefully pump out that damage stage 1, you can't really punish for a stage 1 dome against a Kraken. Especially if you go CDR, you've just got way too much control over the hunter movements to just allow them to do any damage to you. So he comes out completely free from this. He was tempted to go for the aftershock there. I feel like that was a decision made due to the fact that the hunters could be on him, but he goes for the lightning strike. Good choice there. He definitely doesn't need to go aftershock because the dome is down, so he's not in any risk of being domed here. Hank gets on him, starts doing a bit of damage, but he's just going to be able to run from this. He needs to get some food as soon as he can. Nice dodge there on the napalm grenades as well. Just waiting for a few seconds for the full napalm grenade clip to come through. Actually dodges most of those, takes a few hits. Sees where the trapper is right there, and the trapper overcommits to thinking he's going to one side. A bit of a lack of communication that he's not. And he just flies straight over the hunter team. They do manage to get a return bar for that, which is decent for them. But for dodging the trapper, it's definitely worth it for him to just take that bar of health. Get some decent mammoth bird spawns here. The hunter team actually don't poke him off here as fast as they should. He doesn't take the second one first straight away because he thinks they're going to poke him off. But then they then spend way too long, and it's actually Kyra who forces him off, which just shows that they're not forcing him as hard as they can. Just a panic dome there, trying too hard to get the dome down, to get that damage down. Lack of communication from the team to tell them how many traversals he's got. So he just easily gets out of that one, just dodges straight out of the way. And at this point now, team have no dome. They've got no real pressure onto him here. And he actually goes for the engagement here because the Hank comes way too close up to try and force him off that food. Lightning strikes dodged nicely. There's the Vortex. Daisy goes down. It's pretty decent. Orbital comes through great here, though. And it starts to take him like in a really risky position. Because now if he keeps on this engagement... let's go back a few seconds. So at this point, Hank starts to pull out the orbital. Risky position, but if you can get the orbital down, then you make it pay off. And at this point, the heal burst comes through great there and keeps Hank up for a few more seconds. Orbital knocks him away into that back corner, but at this point, he's in a corner with the orbital one side of him, which gives him loads of opportunity to just avoid damage from the Kraken, and the Kraken has to commit way too hard. So he loses 3 bars of armor, loses half a bar of health there, starting to take a bit more damage. But then a really nice lightning strike comes through from Shenanigans there. Even though you can't see him go down because of the cloak, you can tell that you get it down because of that evolve meter filling up. So you can tell that he just got the Hank down. So it actually is a worthwhile trade for him. To lose 1 bar of health for that down onto Hank, it's a great trade for him. But very good job by the Hunter teams to almost manage to pull that fight back after having no dome. If the dome had been up, I feel like they could have done a lot more. But he's just going to be able to run straight down the alleyway of this map, straight to the other side, grab some Blitz Leopards, and get enough armor so that he's fine to get poked down now. So he's just looking to try and get enough armor to be completely armored up, so if they try and engage him, he can engage back. Get some really nice mammoth bird spawns here. Poke doesn't quite land. At this point, he wants to try and feed up to try and evolve, but the Hunter team have nicely pressured him here. The dome should be up in a few more seconds. Vortex lands nicely. Great aftershock into that. And actually, he might be able to get another down here onto the Hank. Keeping on him pretty nicely, I think, for after that cloak. I think he's still on him. Vortex comes through. Pretty nice. I think he managed to lose him here, actually. So he's doing a nice job of tracking where Hank will probably be due to those healing nades. But since the auto attacks aren't landing, he's not getting anything. So as you can see, healing burst came through the last second there. Feel that's a bit of a mistake because as soon as the cloak came down from Hank, which it does right now, you can see his full health, which happened because of that healing burst. But a few more, like 1 or 2 more nades as they come through just now, managed to make sure he's safe. And so at this point he takes a lightning strike, a vortex, and now there's no healing burst to come through for him. And so heavy hit takes him down, no chance. Healing burst here might have even just got him up straight away after those nades. Tonic's actually going to get hit by vortex and a lightning strike. So pretty good hits so far from Kraken, from Shenanigans. Hank gets brought up here by Daisy. Just pretty good job by the Hunter team to punish him. Great toxic nade placement and great positioning from the Kyra just to kite around it. She's gonna take a lot of damage. She won't have enough to boost away from him, so she's just sitting in that cloud trying to get as much damage as possible onto him. Flamethrower right behind him as well. Lots of damage coming through. The Trapper actually tries to revive Hank with Daisy. Bit of a waste of damage. But Daisy managed to get Hank up just in time. I think if Shenanigans had just used a vortex in their direction, he would have stopped that. Which would have actually allowed him to actually get Kyra here. So he overcommits for this Kyra. And then this right here just is a pretty big mistake in positioning. So let's just go back and play through this. So Hank down, Kyra taking damage here. Toxic Nade comes through. There's the flamethrower. Taken really low here. Great self-healing. Hank gets brought back up. Shield comes through from Hank. Vortex hits Hyde, so Hyde's pretty low. He's got his personal shield though, so he knows he can't focus him. Shield comes through. Tonic is really low right now. Like, super low. There's the shield coming through from Hank again. And at this point, I'm not exactly sure why, but Kyra drops into the river. So it's fine. You drop into the river, you're just going to start running up. But instead, Kyra decides to run back up the cliff. And that's something you do against Goliath or Wraith. You use height. You use the environment, the change in altitude against them. Against Kraken, it's possibly like it's completely useless. As you can see here, the lightning strike is just going to mean that like there's nothing. Since Kyra started climbing here, there's no way she's avoiding this lightning strike. And Hyde is just not watching where he's going at all. Jumps straight towards the Kraken to try and get some more damage off. And that's a pretty... That looks like it shouldn't hit, but the radius on this is actually pretty large. So it actually covers this area here. Maybe it shouldn't have hit. It's maybe a bit off. But Hyde had his personal shield there, so that's just not paying attention to exactly where the lightning strike's coming down. And this is just huge right now. 2 downs, lots of damage as well. Daisy takes a lot of damage there. Hank's behind him. He can just turn on him and do some damage to him. Orbital comes through pretty nicely there to try and keep him off of the 2 downed corpses, so maybe they can get a revive. But he's got so much health that he just walks straight through it. And at this point, there should be a dome. The dome should be dropped because you need your support to just make a run for it and hope for the drop ship, because you've got like 1 end tab on everyone. Not that bad. 2 on end tabs on Hank. You can maybe pull it back. He's got half health at the moment, stage 2. Maybe pull it back, but they don't drop the dome here at all. Daisy goes down. That auto attack nicely hits, and at this point he's just looking for that Hank. Actually, Cloak runs out here, and he manages to see last second that Hank's actually gone back. But Hank picks Markov up first, which makes not much sense to me. They went down at the same time, so it's not like he was picking one up so that both of them would live. But he picked Markov up first, and then the communication was obviously made that I've got Kyra from the Markov. Markov goes towards Kyra, and at this point, Hank gets out of range of Markov, so Markov's out of cloak. Kraken sees this, turns back, cancels the revive. Hank goes for Trapper. If he'd have just stayed with them, gone for that Kyra, rather than the full team revive, he can stay on them, keep the cloak on them for a few more seconds and maybe get that Kyra up, and then you should be fine to maybe make it back in this. But he doesn't, and instead it's just Hank left up, and it's pretty much over from this point. And Shenanigans just ends the game right there. So actually a stage 2 win there, which you don't see very often. Again, that just shows the Vortex is just doing so much damage. Like, you're not avoiding Vortex as much as you should be when you're taking 20k damage with Vortex. That is wildlife included. I'll give them that. Like, that's not damage done. That's wildlife included, but still, that's just so much damage done to your team, and the lightning strike really is just there to finish people off.